The heartbreaking image of Sinner on the verge of tears just before retiring from the final against Alcaraz. That's what happened in Cincinnati, when Jannik Sinner, one of the great talents of world tennis, was forced to retire in the middle of his dream duel against Carlos Alcaraz. The entire stadium fell silent, unable to believe what was happening. What promised to be an intense battle ended in the most unexpected and painful way. Today we are going to relive that moment, understand what really happened, and discover why the friendship and respect between Sinner and Alcaraz make this story even more special. From the very first point of the match, the crowd noticed something strange in Jannik Sinner. Normally explosive and agile on court, he looked slower, as if something was holding him back inside. His shots aimed to shorten rallies, avoiding the long exchanges that are usually his trademark. The discomfort was visible, and many began to wonder if he was injured or ill. At a decisive moment, Sinner sat on his bench and asked for medical assistance. The Italian's face reflected all the pain of not being able to perform as he hoped. Cameras captured the emotion in his eyes, on the verge of breaking into tears. It wasn't just a match, it was an important final, and against a rival with whom he shares history and mutual respect. The doctors tried to help him, but his body didn't respond the way he wanted. That's when he made the difficult decision: he couldn't continue. With a gesture of frustration and sadness, he announced his retirement. The crowd, surprised and moved, applauded him strongly, understanding that what was happening went beyond sport. Carlos Alcaraz's reaction was immediate and exemplary. The Spaniard approached his rival, forgetting competition for a moment. He showed support, spoke to him with closeness, and made sure he was okay. That gesture reflected the human quality of both players, rivals on court but friends off it. The most heartbreaking part was Sinner's sincerity toward the fans. With a trembling voice, he apologized for not being able to continue. He explained that he had been feeling unwell since the night before and that, despite trying to recover, he couldn't get himself into condition. His honesty made the crowd applaud him even more. The match ended earlier than expected, but it left an unforgettable image: the vulnerability of an elite athlete facing his own limits. And although the final everyone had hoped for wasn't played, it was shown that respect and empathy in sport are just as important as victory. The relationship between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner is unique in today's tennis. They have known each other since childhood, when they were already competing in junior tournaments and impressing everyone with their level. Over the years, that healthy rivalry grew into one of the most promising of the new generation. Each match between them is usually a spectacle of intensity, talent, and emotion. What happened in Cincinnati won't erase that rivalry; on the contrary, it will make it more special. Alcaraz showed that, beyond titles and ranking points, health and friendship always come first. That attitude further strengthened the bond between them and left a valuable lesson for the public and for young people who dream of becoming professional tennis players. Sinner, for his part, showed the other side of elite athletes. We often only see their strength, their victories, and their glory. But behind every champion there is a human being who also suffers, gets sick, and faces moments of fragility. That image of Sinner on the verge of tears humanized the player and generated a wave of empathy among fans and colleagues. The fans who had come to Cincinnati expecting an epic final left with mixed feelings. On one hand, the sadness of not seeing the full duel. On the other, the pride of witnessing an act of honesty and respect in sport. It was a reminder that sometimes the most valuable part of a match is not the result, but the stories that are born around it. Now, eyes turn to the US Open. There is the possibility that Sinner and Alcaraz will meet again in New York, this time with both at their best. That sporting rematch could become one of the most anticipated matches of the year and an opportunity to close the wound left by Cincinnati. The episode also reinforces an important idea: tennis is entering a new era. With figures like Alcaraz and Sinner, the future of the sport is in good hands. Beyond wins and losses, what will define their legacy is the combination of talent, respect, and human values they demonstrated in such a difficult moment. What happens when a tennis champion tries to fight against his own body in a final? That's what happened to Jannik Sinner in Cincinnati, in a match that was supposed to be epic against Carlos Alcaraz but ended sooner than expected. The tension, the emotions, and the sadness marked a day that left fans with mixed feelings. The Italian explained what had happened and, with great honesty, shared his physical and emotional discomfort. Today we are going to relive those words, understand what occurred, and discover the greatness of this gesture of sincerity and respect. From the first point it was clear something wasn't right. Jannik Sinner, world number one, wasn't moving with his usual energy nor finding precision in his shots. His attempts to keep the rhythm dissolved into unforced errors and a body that seemed unwilling to go on. The crowd, confused, began to realize this wasn't just a bad day. As the set went on, the Italian showed clear signs of discomfort. He tried to speed up points, but every prolonged rally drained him more. His body language was unmistakable. Sinner was battling something stronger than any opponent, and that internal struggle was about to cost him the final. Finally, after a conversation with the doctors, he made the hardest decision: to retire. The scene was moving. With a gesture of resignation, he walked to his bench while the ovation of the crowd enveloped him. Spectators knew this wasn't just any retirement, it was the reflection of an athlete who had given everything until he couldn't anymore. At the end of the match, Sinner explained what had happened. With a sincere voice and dimmed expression, he confessed that since the night before he hadn't been feeling well. He thought that, after resting, he would improve overnight. But the opposite happened. When he woke up, he felt even worse. Still, he didn't want to withdraw immediately from the final. "I wanted to go out on court to try to play at least part of the match," he said humbly. But he quickly realized his body wouldn't hold up. Every movement was a struggle, and reality prevailed. He couldn't compete under dignified conditions against a rival like Alcaraz. His retirement was inevitable. That moment, painful but honest, made clear the harshness of professional tennis. Mental strength and willpower don't always win. Sometimes the body says enough, and the only thing left is to accept reality with as much dignity as possible. What moved people most were his apologies to the fans. Sinner, aware of the effort made by those who traveled and bought tickets, addressed them directly. "I'm really sorry. I know some of you made a special effort to be here, having to work or leaving other things aside," he expressed with gratitude and sorrow. That gesture reflected the respect and humility that characterized the player. He didn't only think of his own frustration, but also of those who expected a memorable final. Despite his pain, he wanted to thank the presence and support of the crowd, leaving a message of deep respect toward tennis fans. Sinner's elegance didn't stop there. Facing the situation, he sincerely congratulated his rival, Carlos Alcaraz. He acknowledged his victory and highlighted the incredible season the Spaniard was having. "It's not how you wanted it, but what you're achieving is incredible," he said, full of sportsmanship. He also gave recognition to Alcaraz's team, valuing the collective effort behind every triumph. "You and your team are doing a great job. Keep it up. I wish you the best for the US Open and the rest of the season," he concluded. With that farewell, he left an image of gentlemanliness worthy of a world number one. The crowd responded with an ovation that mixed admiration and respect. Sinner left the court with his head down, heading to the locker room, but accompanied by the recognition of everyone. That day he didn't lift a trophy, but he reinforced his image as an upright athlete, capable of being an example on and off the court. Alcaraz, for his part, accepted the title with humility. Although it wasn't the final he had dreamed of playing, he understood his friend and rival's situation. That connection between them makes it clear that this rivalry is only beginning and that, when they meet again, it will be with even more strength and emotion. How much money does a tennis champion really take home after lifting a Masters 1000? That's the question many asked after Carlos Alcaraz won the Cincinnati tournament, in a final marked by Jannik Sinner's retirement. Although the outcome was unexpected, the victory gave the Spaniard more than just sporting prestige. In addition to the points for the ATP ranking, Alcaraz secured a financial prize that reflects the magnitude of these tournaments. Today we're going to review exactly how much money the Mercian takes home from his Cincinnati victory and what it means for his career. Carlos Alcaraz claimed his sixth title of the season in Cincinnati, adding another trophy to his record. Beyond the way the final ended, with Jannik Sinner's withdrawal due to physical problems, the victory counts as a full Masters 1000 in the Spaniard's history. And with it came not only 1,000 points for the world ranking but also a very significant sum of money. The total prize money distributed at this Masters 1000 exceeded $9 million, a huge purse shared among all participants depending on the round reached. Of course, the champion takes the biggest share, and in this case, Alcaraz wasn't disappointed. For winning Cincinnati, Carlos Alcaraz received a check of $1,124,380, which is approximately €960,000. An impressive sum that reflects both the prestige of the tournament and the level of effort required to reach the top in a competition of this caliber. Although the final ended earlier than expected, the Spaniard's effort throughout the week was enormous. From the first match to the semifinal, he had to face high-level opponents, proving once again that his ability to stay strong in long tournaments is already one of his greatest virtues. The money earned in Cincinnati adds to a brilliant season in which Alcaraz not only collects trophies but also achieves financial stability worthy of the sport's biggest stars. At just 21 years old, he is already handling figures that consolidate his place among the best. This prize is also an important boost in his career. It means not only financial security but also confidence to face the next big challenges, such as the US Open, where he will have the chance to continue growing in the battle for world number one. The Masters 1000 in Cincinnati is one of the most prestigious tournaments on the circuit. Winning it means more than just a title, it is a leap in international recognition and in earnings, both sporting and economic. For Alcaraz, lifting this trophy confirms that he is ready to remain at the top for many years. The check of over $1 million he takes home from this victory is an impressive figure, but also a reflection of what tennis generates globally. Major tournaments attract sponsors, worldwide audiences, and enormous expectation, which translates into prizes that reward the effort of the best players on the planet. Compared to other sports, the earnings from a tournament like Cincinnati place tennis at a high level, though it still doesn't reach what sports like football or basketball generate. However, for a player like Alcaraz, each title of this magnitude is also a step toward bigger contracts and greater media projection. This prize, in particular, has additional symbolic value. It not only reinforces his financial position but also consolidates him as one of the most important tennis players of the moment, capable of winning both Grand Slams and Masters 1000s. Cincinnati thus becomes another piece of his growing legacy. The interesting thing is that this kind of income doesn't stop at the tournament check. Winning a Masters 1000 increases his appeal to sponsors, improves his public image, and brings him closer to becoming the central figure of world tennis. Every victory multiplies his impact on sport and business. Alcaraz is no longer just competing for titles, he is also building a sports empire. Cincinnati gave him points, prestige, and $1 million that are just a reflection of what it means to be a champion at this level. The future promises him many more opportunities to repeat this feat. Carlos Alcaraz pocketed $1,124,380 for his victory in Cincinnati, in addition to the 1,000 points that bring him closer to the number one spot in the ATP. A prize that not only rewards his effort on court but also positions him as one of the most profitable and dominant stars in tennis today. At just 21 years old, Alcaraz is proving that he is destined to define an era in the sport. The money is important, but the most valuable thing is that each triumph strengthens his ambition and his path to the top. And Cincinnati is new proof of that.